all right. It is time to get going. Welcome to Sprinkle of Ink. We are now at the Hump Day Lorcana stream for the time being. We're going to be coming on Wednesdays around this time for the near future. But also, we might be just going live at random whenever we need to sort cards, unpack, crack packs. Just excited and want to talk. So, but Wednesdays are definite day, and then as we feel like it going forward. But tonight we are excited for Shimmering Skies, and so we're going to be talking our some of our top cards, be it the art on them, the playability, our deck testing we've already been doing off stream. What be it, we are going to talk about it. So, do you have any thoughts before we jump in?
About?
Well, we're about to start. I guess that's a no. He has no thoughts. So let's crank this thing up. And our first card we have up is the Amethyst 2-drop uninkable action card, Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom. So play this action, gain 2 lore. One reason I'm who put this one in, I'm just excited for our first do something and gain 2 lore card. So I think it's going to work nice with the Merlin goat. And it is uninkable, which that deck with other colors, the colors it works best, does have an inkable problem. But I think it's worth it for a 2-drop to just immediately gain 2 lore. I'm looking forward to it.
It's definitely going to give Amethyst players that extra option that Goat gave them initially. So your margin of error for control players is gonna have to be a lot tighter. So you're always gonna have to have that in mind if they're playing Amethyst, that they might be running 1 or 2 of, and that once they hit 18, that's lethal territory, and that's just like. And so let's say they're playing a goat, so now 17 is lethal. So if they have the 6 ink to do it, that's just something that you're going to have to, one more piece of the puzzle that you're going to have to keep in mind against everyone who is running Amethyst.
Yeah, and I think this is almost as close to a must play as there is, just because even if it, I think I'm going to have to test it in my Amethyst, but I think it's going to be even a 4-play for me, because just the idea, the number of times I've gotten to that 18 slot and just been held at 18 and not had a character survive on the board long enough to quest, or even with the goat, you need the combo to be able to get 2, so you need a goat and then a bounce. And so just being able to start your turn, know you have this in your hand, and know you have the wind, even if they clear your board, no matter what they do before, unless they discard you, then you're solid. And I really, really like that.
Yeah, Whole New World is, I play Sapphire Steel, so a Whole New World is no longer as attractive to me as it was, just because I'm wheeling you into possibly 1 or more of these. And so let's say you're at 16 lore, I wheel you, you get 2 of them, boom, that's game.
Or that's even a point. If you put 2 in my hand at turn 4, I could drop 2 and gain 4 lore just from playing 2 cards. And that's not to say what else is on the board. So pair this with a hyper aggro deck, and okay, you're missing some character plays in that turn 4 slot, but you've already flooded your board, and then you're gaining 4 plus whatever you're about to quest. Just complete gnarly. Next up, talking about aggro, we have the new aggro must-have. So she is definitely going to take Lilo's spot in almost every deck. The only thing I can think of her not taking Lilo's spot is that she's an ally and not a hero. So for that purpose, I'm just making sure my mic is actually on.
Looks like it.
Yeah. For that sheer purpose, if you're playing a hero deck, For that sheer purpose. Yeah, we're on. For that sheer idea that it's, I would see Lilo maybe winning out over Daisy if it's a hero deck, but in any other Amber aggro deck, I couldn't imagine why you wouldn't play this. Because at this point, a 1/4, just how hard it is to get rid of a 4 strength in the first couple of turns without immediately having some protection to drop behind it. Requesting for 2, okay, I'm handing you a character card, but am I really going to care that I'm handing you a character card if I'm just pedal to the metal and running as fast as I possibly can?
Yeah, theory crafted a little bit. Again, they just with my deck specifically, and basically against the absolute worst case scenario for, say, Amber Amethyst was what I practiced against, and you're not there. There is no combination of cards in the game that's getting that Daisy Duck off the board before turn 3. It's just not happening. So just accept that and plan accordingly, and don't freak out when you see that hits the field, because you run the risk of, if you're playing it, of feeding your opponent cards. So yes, it's good for you, but it's also good for your opponent, and it's also bad for you if your opponent is playing a ramp deck. So, because yes, you might put that dime at the bottom of the deck, or the swords at the bottom of the deck, or hey, you just gave me 2 Shmees, or 2 Flavershems, or a Sad Beast, or Tamatoa. Thank you so much, appreciate you.
That is true. I'm just looking at the fact that Spider-Man is currently on screen, and now I'm thinking about wanting it. I'm not saying you have to get it out. I'm thinking about wanting something behind you if we go back to being on face.
Well, I already have something I want up on that thing above my head.
Yeah.
So.
And eventually our Disney will go here. I like those new
Lorcana things.
Well, they've got it's the colors and the
colors
banners.
And a character. Yep.
Yeah.
I commented on Dan's post. I was like, I will take 6.
Yeah.
I will take all 6. How much money?
Ravensburger, we'd love to fill this wall right here with them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not asking for it for free. I'm just like, hey.
Well, officially, you can't sell those.
Okay.
The kits
I would love to trade you for something.
Or perhaps win them later.
One more thing on Daisy.
We'll go back to Daisy.
So now just like when Pinocchio came out and Simba, the 2-drop Uninkables Quest for 3, you suddenly could play aggro in more than one color than just Lemon Lime or Amber Amethyst like you used to be able to. Now, with 2 1-drops that Quest for 2 in Amber, now you can use that opens up other combination options for aggro.
All right. So this little guy is on just because we love him. Everyone knows him. He's a fan favorite. Hey. I love the art.
There's nothing wrong with that card.
Yeah. I don't know. I love that it's kind of the callback to the first card. The first Hey card is the Hey boat snack. And so his, flavor text is, who's the boat snack now?
Yeah.
So 5 sets in, we're getting some callback to the original sets.
For the 5-cost bodyguard slot,
I think I'd still keep Maximus in it, but
it's just for steel specifically. Shen Po is a little bit better at 4/7. He survives a Maui.
How much does he quest for, though?
Only 1.
And
but that's also the difference between a couple of Amber bodyguards.
Yeah.
So you can have better stats, or you can have more questing.
It's the booty versus the quest. So. And
again, you could play the Hercules bodyguard, which is 6/5 and quest for 2.
That is true.
So I think if you're going to play Hey, I think that 6-drop Hercules would be a little bit better.
Yeah, like I said, Hey is really just here because we all love Hey.
I mean, it's definitely. I think I could see it being played and depending on the meta shift, it just depends. So if we're not seeing a whole lot of Ruby Maui plays, then we might see more of this guy as opposed to Shun Po. So I just like having more options depending on what your local meta is.
Yeah, and it's always great to have inkables that are higher cost but still good if you do get to them, because a lot of times I find that the best higher cost cards are not inkable, and so they can really gum up your hand. But my favorite card of the release, mostly because Coda is one of my top Disney characters. I love that little bear. I do like that he offers some protection against the Ruby lore lost decks. So as long as my Coda survives, you can't Aladdin me. No stealing my lore. But he's so little that he's not going to survive.
I mean, there are other 2-drops with the same stat line. The Silver Aladdin, Steel Aladdin from set 1 comes to mind. Same stats, quest for the same, but he has an effect and that Aladdin doesn't, so this is just straight power creep.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing we haven't really seen a lot of Lord Drain decks moving around. That's more of just a hey, if I happen to get this off, that's great, but this card is good. It just happens to have a Lord Drain effect type situation. So maybe we'll see that in the meta at some point in the future, but until then, just a decent card.
There are those Ursulas that lose one.
Oh, the purple Ursulas?
Yeah, but I don't see you having a Coda
ever
on
since
board.
Ever since Brawl came out, no one really plays that.
Yeah. He does work too if, he's a rare, so it's a little harder to argue for him. But because Wendy is in the same slot and has got a bigger butt and still quest for 2. So I don't think Coda's going to see a ton of play, which happens to sadly be what continues to happen for my favorite cards. But
I mean, it's an option.
This one is the big moof that we're all excited about. The 8-drop Mufasa, ruler of the Pride Rock. I don't think there's anything bad to say about this. Everyone wants to have their opinions on if he's going to see play or not, but if you got a ramp deck, why don't you? Sure, it's random, which is going to be hard if my opponent has 16 ink on the board when they drop him. How exactly do I randomize 16 ink to find the 2 that come back?
Pick them up, shuffle them, spread them out, pick 2.
Yeah, but it was more, some people like to use dice to do that, different things. But at the same time, I just, imagine dropping this instead of a Tamatoa, and he survives. The 9 is so hard to get over.
I mean, he's more or less a Tamatoa, got the similar stat line. Tamatoa is 5'8", he's 4'9", so yeah. I mean, Maui's going to survive running into him.
This one gets some ink back, and then when you quest with him, you get all of your ink readied, and you can play it again. So if you're playing this guy, your next turn you could drop a dime quest and get all that ink right back and drop a second one, and then that next turn, if he survives, you're double diamond in for nothing and still flooding your board again. And so I don't see how a ramp deck doesn't play him going forward. And sure, you lose 2 ink, but y'all are building it so fast that
I mean, I think that he could work, but again, one of the issues with the hyper ramp decks, at least until now, because now they have a couple more options, was that if you were going to ramp that fast, you would 9 times out of 10 lose to an aggro deck, or a lot of the Ruby Sapphire decks up to now playing against Bucky were absolutely getting destroyed, at least in Dallas. I haven't really checked in the most recent tournaments, but just due to the fact that all of their ramp cards were songs, and if you lose your 1 jump ahead or your how far I'll go, well, now you're stuck with the 20 odd uninkables and you can't ramp anymore. So GG.
True.
But Mufasa, I definitely see him being played, but I don't think he's going to be being played at 4, just because that. If you don't have a surefire way to dump him out of your hand, if you end up with 2 or 3 of them, the same issue that a lot of Ruby Amethyst players have had in the past, getting stuck with 2 Be Prepareds, 2 Tremaines, a Medusa. And
Well, the difference you have is y'all have Inkbone Quill, so Fishbone Quill.
Yeah.
So you've got Fishbone Quill, which opens your ability to ink on inkables. So
Mhm.
it's less
But
of a.
you've also got to get to that Fishbone Quill.
There's only 3. If you're having trouble getting to 3 ink, then. But I do see. I actually was going to say the benefit I see in this more is with the Sapphire Ruby, because Tamatoa is less dangerous in that deck because they usually have 2, maybe 3 items on the board. It's not nearly as heavy as the Sapphire Steel item control decks and the item wheel decks. So when your Mufasa is a 4-drop into a dime play, it's a little bit better to have it. But it is the whole thing that you're going to lose 2 ink. So are you having to rebuild that 2 ink to be able to drop the dime and
I mean, you're still
replay.
Those cards are now in your hand though. So
yeah, true. So if you weren't able to ink that turn because you had nothing in your hand, hopefully you're returning an inkable card and not one that you use from the Fishbone.
I mean, that could be beneficial, but like he's an 8-drop, so like he's gonna share like the same area as an Elsa, a Hades, Tremaine, Medusa, cards like that are just super big. Yes, the effect is fantastic, but you can't run too many of them.
Yeah.
Or you'll just brick.
On to the next one. We'll let Waylon start this one because this is one of his choices.
Yep. Pete is going to be fantastic, in my opinion. Just a straight blanket, no actions. Opponents can't play actions till the start of your next turn. So, again, like for control players, or even for like if you were running a aggro deck with steel, if you drop a Pete, just so that, no grab your swords, no be prepared, none of that. Like you've got 3 or 4 characters on the board, and you just drop a Pete, and your opponent was relying on, okay, I just got to make it to grab your swords, I just got to make it to be prepared. Then what? Like you quest away and GG, game over. Like again, like he's gonna fill a similar spot that that Cogsworth was filling in, or at least a similar purpose that Cogsworth was filling in the Sapphire Steel decks. I think it's just a great all-around card. Like people will probably bounce him with the with Amherst's Steel decks just to continually reuse his abilities, the same way people would bounce binges against item deck. So like you could potentially, if you had the ink and had the ink, you could potentially just completely stop a Amber Steel Steel Song deck from being able to function at all with enough Peats and enough bounce. Like completely lock them out of their ability to function as a deck.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we've already been trying to deck test him into one of my more fun decks. He is not on theme, unfortunately. We're going to talk about some of those cards later that are going to help that deck, but I have a Royalty Resist deck that uses Tiana, and being able to drop this on 3, it is the whole thing. I mean, I'm not able to drop a Prince or Binja, so that's a little harder, which Prince is the bodyguard, Binja is item removal, but he does fulfill kind of what Tiana does a little more effectively, in my opinion, because he's inkable and it's immediately upon play versus Tiana needing to survive to quest to do it, and you have to have a no hands. So I could see him being there and then him being my 4-slot play instead of, even if he costs 3, holding him into that Tiana area, dropping him to save everything that's on the board for at least one more turn, or strategically holding him for that, turn 6. If I'm on the draw and I know we're going into turn 7 and I'm gonna, like, I've got a full board and they could be prepared me. Like, let's go ahead and drop this Pete and the 4-drop behind him. That way I've got 2 things on the board and they can't play an action. So the worst case you can do to me is Sisu me. And a lot of people aren't running the Sisu shift, but, Pete survived Sisu. Hopefully whatever I dropped between the rest of it is big enough to survive it, and we're good. So I think it actually becomes probably the best answer to be prepared we've seen, because like I said, as long as you can strategically hold on to him to make sure, or to Waylon's point, it's when play. So on turn 7, there's nothing in a Amethyst Steel that stops you from dropping him and then dropping a snake or a fox and picking him right back up and doing it over and over to protect your stuff for as long as you can.
Yep, and in a against an Amber Steel song deck, you'd complete as this card will completely lock them out of being able to function and just stall them outside of just a general song discard and just snatching it out of their hand.
Yeah, so I think Pete's going to see a ton of play, and we definitely need an 8 set of him.
Well, it won't be hard. He's common.
Alright, next up is Emerald Prince John's Mirror. So if you have a character named Prince John in play, you pay 1 less for this item. At the end of each opponent's turn, if they have more than 3 cards in their hand, they discard until they have 3. So this is another one of the firsts where it's your item, your play, but the effect is at the end of your opponent's turn. And so it's just, it's not going to be helpful in every deck, but, I'm thinking about playing against Sapphire Steel and looking over and Waylon's got 12 cards in his hand. Well, if this item's down on the board, sorry, bud, go down to 3.
I mean, I also dump half my hand per turn, so...
That is true. But it's also, if you look at, it's even playing it against the other Emerald decks that are drawing off of discards, like, oh, you think you can have a hand of options? Or, the Ruby Amethyst, as it's built right now, is...
Yeah, this will definitely...
Amber Ruby decks that are built on
draw. This will be a little bit oppressive to draw decks with no item removal.
Yeah. And I think about that all the time. My Ruby Amethyst dies a lot to your Sapphire Steel because there's no item removal in it.
I mean, you win way more often than not against me anyway.
That's true, but I know when I'm looking down the barrel of a Tamatoa, and if I can't get rid of that...
Yeah, if you can't remove my Tamatoas every time they hit the board, you lose.
Or, you got a lucky dime, and how many times have you been able to chunk away with that lucky dime when... even when I can remove things, you can play and quest for whatever the dime is worth. So this, I think this is going to be similar. That it comes in on turn 3, and by the end of their next turn, if they're not dumping their hand,
I can see it being played at 2. Not really any more than that. Just with not without like. I don't know. It just feels like something I wouldn't want to see more than once or twice in a game.
No, it's also inkable, so on to the next one. So this is the one we were talking about. It's 2-drop inkable Queen Sensor Core items. So for me, this is more in for one of my fun theme decks. So at the start of your turn, if you have a princess or queen character in play, gain 1 lore. Exert, pay 2, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a princess or queen, you may put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So... like I said, in that Royalty Resist, it's pretty much a princess deck. There's very few princes in it, especially with Kita having a bodyguard that takes over the Simba spot, and she's a princess. And I have a few other decks I'm working on that are princess decks. And so it's in the Amber Steel category, but I might change some colors around. But I just think it works in my benefit. Sure, all those characters, at least one of those characters have to survive until the next turn, but it's not a bad thing to start gaining passive lore by turn 3 just for having your characters on the board. That 1 extra lore, all of us know it can be the difference. And so it's inkable, so there's no... The only reason I wouldn't seed play is in Mufasa decks, because you want to keep your non-character cards to a minimum in those decks. But in this one, I think because you're not gaining much from not having other cards in the deck. It's okay if you don't draw a princess or queen, because that's just a draw card. It's not a play. So I think the benefit of it outweighs any risk of Now I think it would be hunting if you did use the exert pay 2, but it's there. I think the real beauty of this is the game 1 just for having a princess or queen. So
Yeah, I can see it in a Amber Sapphire Queen deck that's abusing all of the new Queen cards and whatnot. So
yeah,
that's about it.
I was talking about shifting some of my Amber still, so like replacing Simba with Kita, doing those kinds of things, making those subtle shifts where the card is exactly the same. And I think that's what we're seeing more now is cards that we were like, why are they doubled up? Why is this like exactly the same in a different thing? And it's for things like this. So if you need a prince, you've got the Simba bodyguard. If you need a princess, you've got the Kita bodyguard. They cost the same. They're in 2 different colors. They have the same exact stats. But now you can make that subtle shift and still...
Themed decks are becoming more viable, and it's not just hey, whatever you can podge together, but
Yeah. And now this one is just because, Waylon loves Radigan. So.
Be prepared, turn 4. What do you do? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild to me that Radigan just has 7 class, shift 4 in Ruby, just really opens up. I don't know why. I guess it would be against the aggro deck is what the benefit of that would be, because you're losing your 3 quester. But, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's about be preparing on turn 4.
Yep, you shift turn 4, be prep, and game. Like, an aggro deck is just not coming back from that.
And if you don't be prep it, you've got 3 quest for 3 right there. And
yeah, that's really oppressive. Like, yeah, he's uninkable, and having a like 2 7-drop uninkables in your hand is kind of crappy, and it would require a lot of luck. But that would absolutely be an absolutely disgusting play.
I think this ends up being in one of your Tremaine or Medusa slots if you're going for the uninkable, because as you say, your point would be shifting this guy, getting to the B prepared, not the individual removal. So
yeah, you would want a board wipe.
Yeah.
Or you could play one of the other 6 cost songs.
Yeah. And we're moving along to the Amber card that everyone is talking about, the 5-drop uninkable action revive. Play a character with cost 5 or less from your discard for free. So
you read that wrong.
Play a character card with cost 5 or less from your discard.
It says play a Mufasa with cost of 5 or less.
I was gonna say that's what I was leaning up to, was the Mufasa deck now has 8 Mufasas. So you've just killed my Mufasa, and oh look, I still have all of my ink, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this revive card and bring my Mufasa right back. Have fun. So yeah, and there's other options here too.
I mean, even like, let's say you blast the Mufasa and they top deck the revive. Well, it's back next turn, so you're just like, okay, whoops.
Yeah, well, you gave it to me, so unless you can make me discard the top card of my deck, you know what's coming next.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any cards that let you mill like that. And like maybe with the Daisy, like let's say I quest with a Daisy, and I know that your next card is a revive. Maybe I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would make you do that.
But and it's not just Mufasa. We love to joke about Mufasa, but think about the fact, okay, I just got a board wipe, someone got rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I just grabbed a sad beast back from my deck.
Yeah, I don't have enough in my hand. I don't have anything in my hand to play. Oh, I'm going to play revive and grab this thing out of the discard.
Lots of good options. Cogsworth, sad beast.
Goats.
Goats. Grab a goat.
Grab a goat and get an ink.
Or grab a rabbit.
Grab a rabbit, get a card. Like, there's so many options of things that are great to pull back from the discard.
Like, I wouldn't want to grab. I don't think anything less than 3 cost would be worth spending that on. But I mean, if you got to make a desperation play,
if you got nothing else, a character on the board is what's important in this game, because it's not exerted. So
yep.
You're then forcing, I'm at 18. I don't have any characters. You just wiped me. What do I do? Okay,
Yeah,
I
let's
play
say,
revive. Let's pull something back that quests for 2 and hope it survives again.
Yeah, you could grab your Ursula, Deceiver of All.
True.
That would be a good one. Or
So-
maybe your 3-drop Ariel, because you need to search for some songs. Because I
Grab
smashed
back
it.
a Rapunzel.
Yeah,
Like,
that'd be
you know,
gross.
grabbing back a Rapunzel and you're handing me cards if I've got damaged stuff.
Well, and remember that you're playing it from the banished pile, and when you do this, so make sure if you do the Rapunzel that whatever you're doing has damage on it first.
Yes, exactly.
Order of operation. Same with the Mufasa.
Know your board state.
The caveat of that Mufasa is I know that people are going to forget that they have to exert all of their ink when they play it, and they're going to try to play something else after it, and you'll be like, nope, that's not how that card works.
Order of operations.
So a lot of these cards are going to be really dependent on order of operation.
Yeah. All right. But I definitely want at least 4 of these. Next up is a card that we're not quite sure where we land on if it's going to see play or not. It's a 4 uninkable 1/4. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal an action card but costs 6 or less and play it for free. Put the rest in your discard. I could see this being beneficial in some Ruby decks. You know, you're playing Dragon's Fire, you're playing Teeth and Ambitions, you're playing some other stuff that, okay, I quested, I looked at the 4, I've got an action card. Thankfully it's 6 or less. Could you imagine getting to play a Be Prepared for free from a draw?
Yeah, that's why it says 6.
Yeah.
I can really only see this in a Ruby Amber deck, just because all of the revive cards are Amber, and I think that dumping cards into your banish pile and then bringing them back from your banish pile is the way to go. So,
True, I could see dropping a Robin Hood, picking the revive, dropping it to bring a Mufasa in, like,
or whatever the heck else you get, like, and then
or against with steel, you pull back a whole new world. You get a whole new world for free.
Yep.
Like, grab your swords for free.
You've got a quest with him though, so
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of the 1/4 stat line. So
they died a brawl, and it sucks to say it, but like dying to brawl, dying to Tremaine, it's just Medusa, sorry.
And the mini Sisu.
Yep. So
which you're seeing a little bit of play.
That Sisu though is 2 turns after this though. So
No, the mini Sisu.
Oh, the mini Sisu. I forgot the mini.
3-drop uninkable.
I forgot that one exists. But yeah, I like the art on it. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
Then we've got Waylon's next Holy Grail card. I'm going to let him talk about the Church of the Sheriff of Nottingham, because I think I've heard about him nonstop since his release.
Free my boy. He did no wrong. He was just doing his job.
It's
the more items,
John's birthday too.
Mm-hmm. Keep saving. They call me a slob, but I do my job.
We watched Robin Hood the other night, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, that honestly, there was some funny parts in there, but I had kind of wished that show had stayed in my past.
I love it. I don't know why. But
some things just need to stay in fond memories.
Taxes. All right.
Anyway, if you're playing item control, I think this guy's definitely a 2 of. Support's awesome. So basically, like, there are so many games where I'm running. Everyone looks at him and says, "Oh, he's a 9-drop and uninkable. No way is he ever going to see play." And I'm over here like, they made a lot of cards like this. So if you're playing an item-heavy deck, if you're playing a character-heavy deck, like you've got the Gaston, you've got the Kristoff, you've got Olaf. So like depending on what you want to have in your deck,
Schornenbog.
yes, like Scherdenbog, these guys are going to be fantastic for you.
And we deck test. We are not going to be playing with proxies in the future.
On stream.
And if we are, we just are not going to be saying that we are. So because these cards are not officially out yet, that's why we're not using proxies tonight and playing with the decks. It'll be easier to do that and just not talk about it once the cards are revealed.
Because we don't talk about Bruno.
Exactly. But Waylon and I have done some test card games to get excited about the cards, know what we're chasing.
This guy's busted.
And I built a rebirth deck, and I made the mistake of all mistakes that I didn't pay attention to my discard and the ink when I had a Chernenbog in hand, and I dropped my Chernenbog one turn too late because he dropped the Sheriff of Nottingham, and I thought that I was nowhere near the Chernenbog and got frustrated and was just not having the best time, because to see a four quester, a big booty, all drop in probably, I think it was turn 4 or 5, and just have nothing to do for it.
Well, I mean, I'm almost because you don't think about these guys as 9 drops, because like if the Kristoff, like if you're playing like 4 or 5 songs, now he's a 5 drop. When you're playing popsicles and stratospheres and all that business, like you have 3 items on the board almost, so he's a 6 drop, almost guaranteed every game.
And that was my bigger point, was that, you know, with the Chernenbog, I didn't think I was anywhere near him. I wasn't really paying attention, and if I had played him, Waylon would have only gotten 1 quest out of him before I just, you know, ran my Chernenbog, who survives the attack.
Yeah, but the thing was, the second you played him, I didn't quest with him. I dropped something else, quested with Sheriff, and then ran my small guy and blew up your Chernenbog.
Yes.
Because the Sheriff also gives support. So,
the support is gnarly, but...
So giving 5 to anything in my deck turns my 2 or 3 attackers into 8 attack beat sticks, and now I can finish you off with a cannon.
I think what ultimately happened was that because I didn't have anything else on board, and you were able to get that extra 4, and you would have had to make the choice of taking the 4 or waiting until you had something on board to attack Chernenbog. And so, because the game was relatively close at that point, and then it started to get away from me. So, but yeah, the support makes it gnarly. I am going to enjoy figuring out a way to beat Waylon's deck.
I mean, I've changed it up since we played, and I've got some gnarly options.
Unlike a lot of people, I have not been net teching or even really testing. I haven't been looking at like other people's lists, net teching.
Oh.
Like looking at what's on the internet, and then deck testing. I've made a few things, but I haven't actually played them out, and because I'm kind of waiting. I do much better when I've got the cards in hand and ready to go versus theory crafting. So we'll see. We got another one of Waylon's favorites, his new little 2-drop.
This card is absolutely fantastic. Before now, you had only uninkable options outside of the Fishbone Quill for ramp. Well, you also had Winnie the Pooh, but Winnie the Pooh died to Smash and Brawl, so just, he wasn't that great. And you had to get the quest off. So nobody was running Winnie the Pooh, really. He died too easy just because of the meta state. I mean, not that Winnie the Pooh's bad, he quests for 2 and you can ink something. But Tippo, it's on play, which is fantastic. You've got a body on the board. And
it is from hand, though, so you have to get rid of something from your hand.
Yeah, which is fine if you're playing most Sapphire ramp decks, because they've got ways to refill their hands really fairly easily. With Tippo, so let's say, obviously, the dream is going to be dropping a Popsicle, then a Tippo, and then now you're at 3 ink. Next turn 3 ink, drop a Flaversham, pop Popsicle, and then next turn you drop a Cogsworth, a Sad Beast, or your Whole New World, or whatever, or you drop some more Tibbos, and having a good old time right there. He just really he fits in the curve very nicely, and he lets you get rid of let's say a Sheriff, a Mufasa, a Hades, a Be Prepared, like something that's clogging up your hand that you don't need. Or you're playing against a song discard deck and you want to hide your songs, so you just dump the song.
Yeah. All right. All right, that is our last regular card. We're going to run through these quickly, but this is the artwork for the Ruby Amethyst starter deck. I'm going to pull up the list and see what it comes with. So, looks like it's 2 Spotless Foodfizer daisies, 2 Donald Duck Daisy's Date, the Enthusiastic Mickey Dancer, the Mini Dancer. So it looks like they're really leaning into the food fight and the party atmosphere of the event, and then it looks like the Emerald Amethyst is, I think that's Amethyst. Yeah, is your Frozen and villains kind of theme, but I'm excited about the fact the starter decks are going to back to being from the set only. That makes me believe that maybe this set is the set that eventually it'll be like, sets 1 through 4 are no longer playable, and then sets 5 through 10 or 5 through 9 are your next chunk. I think we're far away from that, but seeing that Shimmering Skies is our 5th set and it's starting back with like no repeats in the starter decks, it's just coming from Shimmering Skies, makes me think maybe they're thinking further down the line for the
potential for that.
Yeah, the potential for, but I guess I had it backwards because it's Amethyst, Ruby.
It's Ruby Amethyst and Emerald Steel.
So
Scar and that Kronk seem pretty decent.
Oh, I see how it
and
is.
The
like
Elsa seemed pretty decent in that, but outside of that, I haven't really looked at the list a whole lot. So I don't know. I don't think there's really any chase cards in those lists, at least that I'm interested in personally. But we'll see how the meta shakes out.
Yeah, the only card I kind of want out of the sets is Bruni, just because he's one of my little sidekicks. I love my little sidekicks. But yeah, there's nothing in particular about the starter decks that are like, wow, this time.
Yeah, that new Elsa is pretty sweet. 2/5 rush evasive, I think it is. But people are trying to sell her for like $20 pre-sale, but she's in that deck. So, I mean, there's no reason for her to ever be more expensive than that starter deck. And if you buy her for more than that, you're just getting ripped off.
I am interested in the fact, I don't know if the original pack said it, but thinking about like the forward-thinking things that have come up and looking at my current, so you'll see those say single-player starter deck. I hope, and I said this before, I hope Ravensburger takes after Magic, which is, these are starter kits, and these are actually 2-player starter decks. So
isn't that kind of what they're doing with the learner thing?
Yeah, but I think that's a little different because that's meant for like people who have never played before. This one is like, oh, you want to play the new set. You don't necessarily feel like building a deck. Like, oh, you can pay $20, pick this up. You and your buddy can play the new set and not really have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh, hey Brando, thanks for joining. I have not looked at the new Elsa in depth, so I don't know how I feel about her because she's, and I probably should if I'm gonna. I think I'm not playing Ruby Amethyst, so I just stopped looking at the cards. But seeing single-player starter deck on a box does make me think that eventually we are going to get 2-player starter deck packs. But it could also be that they want to make it clear that you can't buy this and play the game. But I do see now it says like ready to play deck, things like that. Okay.
I mean, I think they all were ready to play.
Well, no, I was saying I don't know if on the packaging, like the way that it was marketed, had that kind of information on it. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But yeah, we'll see. And now we're going to finish up talking about our favorite enchanteds. We're going to absolutely say that any enchanted in this set we will be happy with because the art is fire. I love how, just as you can see, I'm calling this things that I shouldn't say on the stream, but we'll call it the Heffalump and Woozle Olaf. If y'all know what Heffalumps and Woozles are, and when you have dreams about them, or pink elephants on parade, Olaf. Just it's a very trippy card, and I love it, and I can't wait to see the foil on it.
Looks like something that I would come up with after drinking around the world in Epcot.
Yeah, and the snow geese kind of like flipping around, and just a good old time.
That card is again like the sheriff. The more exerted characters you have in play, the better it is. It's evasive. It's 6/6. You're not getting rid of that. Like, it's just not going away.
I'm glad that you went the same way. You understood what I was trying to. You picked up what I was putting down without breaking Disney.
What I only talked about things that they sell at on property.
But yeah, this one I love the art, and like Waylon said, it's not a bad card.
I've seen a lot of lists running it at 2.
You exert 4 characters and then you play this on turn 5. Not unheard of.
You could follow this from an Elsa, or if you're running an exerted character. Or
and an evasive 6/6 is ridiculously hard to. It's also right there if you can't read.
Yeah, I'm over here.
But then next up is, I think, everyone's chase this set. It's just, we've already seen a foiled version of it. It's gorgeous. It's pretty. It's all of our favorite Mufasa. I love a card that is one that, like, I'm not going to say I don't regret selling our Elsa, but I do kind of wish we had that Elsa to display. Because it was a gorgeous card. It was a fantastic pool. But, it was also my first sell ever of a card. Sorry, our cat has decided to be wild and eat cardboard in the corner. If you hear ripping cardboard, it's her. Mm-hmm. There are no Lorcana cards being damaged. But, it's a beautiful card, and
Father, I crave violence.
If I am playing the Mufasa...
Your enchanted Robin Hood tastes good, Father.
Oh, we keep those safely away from the pets.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would be a joy to play these. And I also like let's go back to a regular card. So regular cards have the separation and the golden back and the distinct color ribbon. There's just something about the way these enchanteds are done that you get all of the information you need. But yeah, we should give them all the Buckies we have. We have a ton of Bucky promos. Maybe the cat would enjoy hole punching those guys.
No. They're never going to make those again.
Waylon says otherwise. We're holding on to those. But I just love the choice that it's kind of got that stained glass, frosted glass text.
Yeah, the text is superimposed over the full image as opposed to just the being cut off by the golden text box that's normally there. So it's a floating image, which is nice.
The movement of these is just amazing.
Yeah, they're very dynamic.
Next up is one that is only on because I love the art on the card. I think this card is not going to see much play at all. But
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what people are going to come up with. It's got a decent effect, but it's very situational.
I just want to see that foil on that sword.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely going to be beautiful.
It's going to be beautiful, and again, the sheer joy of these cards, the colors, the art styles, it's just fantastic. Then we've got Revive. Again, can't wait to see it in person. If we pull them, they're definitely being played, because in this household we play our enchanted
if we need them.
And what's better than pulling off the move of all moves with enchanted?
Yes. If you're gonna flex on someone, you might as well do it in style.
Yep. And then again, the Robin Hood is just because the art.
It's a pretty card.
I think it's just. Again, just hands down to the artists with this set. I think every card was just amazing to see. The through line of the party. I know we've had the themes and things like that before. We had the the who's the big bad. So you had all of the people researching, like, for figuring out it was Ursula, and the items people and those kinds of different subtypes had card art that went together. But I feel like this set is really just as a whole is like, we are at this party, we are celebrating the defeat of Ursula, and you can kind of tell that it's all from the same set, it's all cohesive, and it tells us a great story, and just, you know, even in the Enchanted push it even that next step further.
Mm-hmm.
The Royal Tantrum is just because it's just a hilarious card.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how good this card's actually going to be, but well, go for it.
I just like his little his slipper has come off and is flying off into the coins, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's going to be like the Scrooge McDuck that was hyper foiled. Oh yeah, we've already seen all the cards. These are just our favorite of the Enchanteds.
Scar is, I love how it really reminds me of the Colors of the Wind song from Pocahontas, just with the sweeping colors and whatnot. That's just what that reminds me of. I really like the artwork. It's a good card too.
Yeah, I love that.
Ward is always busted, and draw a card whenever any of your characters challenge a damaged character. So, I mean, nothing bad there. I think that a lot of the Emerald cards that are contingent on...
oh, there's print on the new Legendaries. Okay, then awesome. Definitely can't wait to see them. Did not know that one. Thanks for letting
What do you
us
mean
know
there's
that.
print?
Just the way the cards are printed
Oh,
on the
okay.
new Legendaries. So, yeah, I'll definitely...
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to check out...
Are they, like, raised? Oh, fire. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll see when we get them on tomorrow. Friday.
Friday. So one thing I love about this card is the addition of the Simba. It's kind of like in the flame behind him, the Simba letting him know he's still there. That push of the story.
No. So that is the
that's Rafiki's symbol on that he draws.
Rafiki's drawing in the tree.
Yeah, and so like having that there during the scene, just really.
I just noticed that.
It's that extra little touch that just really pushes these art cards to not just. It's the collector part of the TCG, the trading card game. It's like, and that just, you know, pushes this right above that. And I think that's our last one for the night. So I'm super excited about this set. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to be upset with anything I grab on Friday.
No, absolutely not.
It's just, like we said, these are our ones that are just like...
Ones that stood out to us that we liked a little. I mean, I like all of them, not going to lie. Archimedes, I love the purple and the swirls. It's fantastic.
I was going to say, it was a hard struggle to pick Enchanteds because... and even cards.
I just picked a couple of cards that were on my mind that I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one. That one's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's cool. Yeah, that one's cool.
But even as we were going through the list of what cards we wanted to talk about tonight, as we got closer and closer, more and more kept getting added, I was like, okay, Waylon's just deck testing a ton of options. He's really excited about a lot of different Sapphire cards. And I was like, well, we can't put every Sapphire card
yes, we can.
on the list. We only have an hour to discuss cards. And so, but I think some great stuff is coming up in the community. If you're a member of Love to Lore, don't forget this weekend in celebration of Shimmering Skies, we'll be doing a pack attack,
Pack Rush?
a pack rush event. So, Love to Lore ladies and other marginalized genders, you can join that Discord, and on Saturday, you just sign up and you have 2 unopened packs of Shimmering Skies, and you can play a great afternoon of pack rush, and just a way to try and get the community together digitally for an event. I actually hope more groups start doing this. I know later a few of the members are going to be on Vox Lorcana in, I believe, about an hour. Check them out on X. It's Vox Lorcana. They're going to be talking about our first competitive event we had that was for the set champion of the Love to Lore group for the last set. And there are all these little groups. There's Citizens of Lorcana who has their group. There's a few other Discords. I know the Illumineers run a Discord. And I think just having that ability in the community to say, we're a group of friends who get together and discuss Lorcana and chat about life, and we're there for each other. Let's figure out a way to play digitally together in a structured way. And so it was super fun. I got 5th place this weekend. I just barely missed top 4. It was, I think, a .0 something change. I can't remember anymore, but it was
a melee thing.
Well, we didn't use melee, but it was definitely the splits. I was told that I was actually in 4th until the very last game submitted their results, and then I just got squeaked down to 5th, which happens. I knew that's where it was at, but I had a lot of fun with that, and I'm hoping that maybe I'll take home the championship at the end of this set. But there's, like I said, Vox Lorcana is about in an hour on X. We'll be back for sure on Wednesday, but since we're getting our product this weekend, I imagine we probably will be streaming this weekend just because it'll be super fun. We'll have our decks.
At some point.
We'll have our cards, so we'll probably jump on and stream. And I don't know if there's much else. I can't think of anyone else that I was going to shout out. But yeah, check out Vox Lorcana. I can't raid them because they're on a different platform. And ladies and marginalized genders, check out Love to Lore. We don't have a Discord. I could not possibly be in yet another Discord.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, so I'll keep pushing other communities that we are a part of. But you can find us on X. We're pretty active there. Chat and Lorcana. We are at sprinkle_of_Inc. And then I'm Ellie Ann Marie, and Waylon is Ice Bishop. So find us there, chat Lorcana. And we will see you guys next time. Have fun questing this weekend in Shimmering Skies.
Good luck on your pack pulls.
And I just realized I don't know where my mouse is, so I can't actually start. There we go.
Yep.
Found it. May the odds be ever in your favor. That is a different franchise, but still a fantastic franchise. But have fun questing Illumineers until next time.